Gentlemen, what's going on? It's your boy Ruben. You remember to like, subscribe, share. Completely appreciate all the love. Comment down below any thoughts, and you might see it in the next video. I like to respond. I like the back and forth, and I'm always looking for a good debate. So, with that being said, great NBA playoffs. A lot of unpredictability. Nobody saw coming. For instance, who had the Heat going this far? Not only this far, but looking like they're going back to the finals. And the same can be said even for the Denver Nuggets because nobody really showed them any love. I'm not going to lie to you. I wasn't a believer that they would be a finals contender. I definitely thought that they would go deep. I definitely always thought that this team was a dangerous team way back when they, drafted MPJ and whatnot, and back in the bubble, and Jamal Murray's dropping 50. I knew the Nuggets were going to be a problem. Now, did I think that they were ready to take on certain teams? Well, Golden State looks like their dynasty's over. Not only are we learning that dynasty might be over, but we're also learning this might be LeBron's last run. I didn't think I'd see him go out like this. I actually thought that the Lakers at the trade deadline had formed a team that was formidable enough to make it to the finals. Even although I didn't pick them only because I thought that the Phoenix Suns and the combination of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton was going to be too formidable in the West to not make the finals. Well, in that particular situation, I think we learned that depth is key, and age matters at this point. You can't play these 35-year-old, which is in the NBA ancient, guys 40 plus minutes and think you're going to win night in and night out. We're learning that chemistry matters. We're learning that teamwork matters, right? So I feel like every decade we have what I'd like to call maybe like a correction, right? So the early 2000s to let's say 2010, that time frame, the NBA is largely a star-based league. All right, you can't really make the finals without a superstar, much less winning. And each decade seems to have one of these corrections where, so for instance, from the 2000 2010 range, don't quote me on the year, but I remember it was the Detroit Pistons. They upset the Lakers. Like every year throughout that time frame it was either Kobe, Duncan, Shaq. You were constantly seeing those guys in the finals. I think the Miami Heat snuck one in there in that range, right? Because they broke up. Shaq went to Miami. Miami won, right? But still proves the same. Superstars run the league, run the championships. Detroit Pistons show that you can out grit, out team, out chemistry a superstar laden team. The 2010s to the 2020 range. Now, this team was a little more talented, but I don't think anybody had them winning a championship. And I'd like to say it's the Dallas Mavericks. They especially were not supposed to beat what was formed the super team of that millennium, that was the Miami Heat with LeBron James taking his talents to South Beach, right? So why I think this is a good thing is because this era, right, 2020 to 2030, there's a few things that are in question, right? We're moving out of the LeBron James era. I remember when the Jordan era ended, it was who was going to be next, who's going to be the next Jordan. And that, I felt like it took a little bit of time, but I kind of felt like, we were in good hands with Kobe, Tim Duncan, those kind of guys. A lot of guys stepped up. Paul Pierce started becoming the truth. T-Mac, a lot of good basketball was formulated, and then still Kobe emerged as that dude. Then LeBron came in, and we've always had that catalyst, right? Now we're kind of about to exit out of that, and you can make the case, is it Giannis? KD's getting up there in age. Is he that dude? I think questions around whether KD even wants to win a championship anymore. And now, of course, he wants to win one. I mean, like, does he really have that fire burning in his gut? Does he have that anymore? I think we'll find out next year. I think the Phoenix Suns will field a better team, and with a full year, I think it'll be awfully dangerous. Now, this season looks like it's the Miami Heat. And the Miami Heat, I think, is putting the NBA on notice because I don't want to say I'm an old head. I'm not going to give away my age. And if you've been watching long enough, you probably already know what my age is. But I've always felt like, while a lot of people say, Steph Curry changed the game, and I think he's the greatest shooter this game's ever seen. Don't get it twisted. But I also think he broke the game a little bit. And what I mean by that is I've never subscribed to the notion that we should all just acquiesce to this three-point shooting league. It's great that we're able to shoot so well, but I think teams are like the Miami Heat, and not saying that they're not shooting well, because they are shooting well. But they're a team that's awfully efficient, right? And what I mean by that is, when the Bucks fell out of the finals, in my mind, I thought this was Boston Celtics' run to lose here, right? To go to the finals. I don't know about them winning yet. I would have needed to see, who was going to come out of the West. But I was pretty sure Boston was going to make the finals. In fact, I actually picked Boston after it looked like it was, it is what it is. I definitely didn't have Philly. I don't understand why people ever jumped on Philly's bandwagon the way they did. But it was definitely Boston. But a thought I had to myself was, when is the Ime Udoka situation going to rear its ugly head? And what I mean by that is, and as a Knicks fan, when I thought we were going to go to the finals, I definitely thought we were going to play the Boston Celtics. And when we played them, we were always the tougher, grittier team, and we beat them 3-1, all right, this season. So I thought we had a chance, but I wasn't going to go as far as to predict a finals appearance for the Knicks if they faced the Celtics in the conference finals. And that was because the Boston Celtics were shooting in the regular season like they were the Golden State Warriors. Now, I remember when the Golden State Warriors were hot, I used to think this can't be sustainable. But you're talking about otherworldly shooters, and they proved that this can be sustainable, and that, that they're just that deal. The problem is everybody's not that deal. And Boston forgot where they came from. Last year, Boston made a name for themselves by shutting Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving down. I mean, made them look bad, okay? They swept the Brooklyn Nets. They hung their hat on defense. And then there's their own superstars, Jason Tatum. We could question whether he's a superstar later or not, because don't get it twisted. It just came out of my mouth. I'm not sure he is a superstar. But with that being said, defense led the way. This year, watching them go all offense, you have to figure defense was going to fall off. Now, you're playing a team in the Miami Heat that they often, prior to this series at least, were falling behind, right? A la their two comebacks against the Bucks. We went up like 14, I think, in game four. We went up 14 and then blew that lead. They're always, you'll see they're always behind, but they're always chopping wood, so to speak. They're always, okay. At the end of the day, the whole concept that 3 is better than 2, I don't believe is always true, unless you're the Golden State Warriors, of course. You have to have an otherworldly shooting ability as a team. And I say that because I think efficiency is going to matter more, because you might go up, but at some point, you're going to reach a cold streak or a cold spell. And while you're in that cold spell, you might go up 10, but the Miami Heat are chopping wood. You went on a cold spell, but they'll go on a 5-0 run. Then you score a 3, then they'll go on another 5-0 run. And by next thing you know, you look up at the end of the game and you're like, damn, they hung around, or they made it, or they're within striking distance, and then Jimmy Butler does what he does. And Jimmy Butler is not supremely talented. He's not the most athletic two-guard in the league. He's not the most dominating offensive force in the league. But the guy, when he smells blood, he goes at you with physicality. He's going to get in your face. And if you don't have the heart for it, it's going to show. And I think you're learning that about the Boston Celtics. I've always wondered if they had the heart for it. And ultimately, I couldn't put my finger on what bothers me about Jason Tatum. And it's the fact that I love Jason Tatum. When he came out, I loved Jason Tatum. I like they list him at 6'8", but I mean the guy looks like he's 6'10". Long arms, very skilled, very clean prospect. But I for the longest time I couldn't figure out what is it that I don't love about him. And at the end of the day, it's the lack of killer instinct. If you could pour Jimmy Butler into Jason Tatum, you're looking at Kobe Bryant. You're looking at a force of nature, right? The problem with Jason Tatum is he knows he's good and he plays like it. And the problem with that is that he plays with an arrogance that I can get it whenever, they loaf and the team endures that. Like they take on that personality. They never feel like they're out of the game until next thing you know, they're getting their ass blown out on national television and they're looking lost. And now they can't respond. All right. So one, right, is the arrogance of Jason Tatum. Like he plays, I don't want to say soft. I'm just going to say he doesn't play with that fire burning in his gut like a Jimmy Butler does, right? At all times. Kobe Bryant would never. He's coming to eat your heart out. Jason Tatum plays like he knows I can get it whenever. 2, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and as much as I love Jaylen Brown, like I want my Knicks to make a move for him, both these guys can't dribble. And what I mean by that is, like, you watch the game and the game's gotten so offensive that you're not really seeing the great defenses, like get up in you defenses. The Boston was starting to show that last year against the Nets. But what you're seeing with the Heat is, and you can tell it was an issue in the finals last year against the Warriors. If you blitz these guys and make them go left, it's a problem. They can't dribble. They can't dribble left. They can dribble when you leave them open, but like they can't dribble under pressure, and they turn the ball over. And even with that, I still want my Knicks to go ahead and get Jaylen Brown. I actually think Jaylen Brown has that dog in him, but I think the combination of Ime Udoka, Jason Tatum not living up to the hype, and Jaylen Brown always being in the trade rumors. And he's got and feeling not respected in the same vein as a Jason Tatum, even though I think he's done a good job of acquiescing, to that second role and accepting that Jason Tatum is the number one guy. But I think Jaylen Brown feels like he's that dog. He could be a number one guy, but he's just doing what's best for the team to not rock the boat. But when shit like this happens and you're about to get swept, this is the kind of thing that breaks teams up. So we'll see what happens there. On the West, LeBron, again, it just looks like it's over. I think this is arguably LeBron's best, most talented team, top to bottom. I know that D'Lo's not showing up, and they're barely playing Malik Beasley, and they know they need shooting. I don't understand that. I think Darvin Ham has a defensive mindset, and he's gotten too defensive-minded in this regard instead of, putting points on the board. And Austin Reeves, good player, but he's not quite the microwave scorer that you probably need. LeBron, I kept thinking, we're going to see a 30-point LeBron. He doesn't look like he has it. I don't see it. Games tonight, I can't wait to see what happens. And then you got Anthony Davis, the biggest, soft like Pillsbury, all right? Just, I don't want to say what I want to say, all right, for the sake of, I'm trying to watch my mouth these days when I'm making these videos. But soft. One of the softest superstars ever. He's the only guy that can erupt and just won't. It's a volcano just coughing smoke at this point. He's very good, but look at not Luka Doncic, Jokic. All right, the guy doesn't have half the talent of a God-given talent of an Anthony Davis. He can't jump over a curb, jump onto a curb. All right, and he is beasting on them. Anthony Davis has the skill set to shut that down and score 30 and 15. Looks like it's over for the Lake Show. We'll see what happens, all right? Till next time, y'all. Peace.